So imagine if we lived in a world where we didn't have to worry about governments trying to murder us and murder their people because, we are forgetting that we've just come from a 2-year intense depopulation agenda that was extreme in the sincerest form. That's all of a sudden forgotten now. Within one day, the narrative has been flipped and we're now on the brink of World War III. At least that's how the mainstream media are portraying it. A lot of people ask me what my thoughts are on, the Ukraine-Russia war and all that stuff. And quite frankly, I am not well studied in political history, and I'm probably not the best person to speak regarding that. However, I do have lots of thoughts, and I have been truth-seeking for many years now, and I do know how to keep an observatory mind and look at things at a balanced perspective. And what I can say from straight off from the bat is the mainstream media and those sources are pushing a narrative that Putin is the bad guy, and he deserves to go to hell, and he is causing the world to self-destruct ultimately. And when you're being fed a specific narrative, it's very easy to fall into that and believe it. And from my basic research and understanding that I've only just conducted the past kind of week is, when you understand NATO and US involvement in Ukraine versus Russia and how NATO are basically creating a backyard and want to establish a defense system or a base within Russia's backyard ultimately, which US do that all the time. They occupy regions, strategic regions for military purposes, just in case anything does happen in the future. And of course Putin is going to retaliate to that. And so it's not such a one-sided story, and the history goes deep, and we just need to have some clarity about that. Having said that, the fundamental is that war is more profitable than germs, right? War is the most profitable thing to happen on this planet. And so since, let's say, these Spanish and Italian conquistadors, or what we call the black nobilities, those elite rich bloodline families that are all interlinked with the Rothschilds and those families you've heard so much about that control every aspect of our reality, since they started to do that and force their way into our reality, there hasn't been a time where war hasn't been used to perpetuate a further agenda. And when I say profitable, what I mean by profitable isn't just money, isn't just finances, even though that is the number one thing. It's also profitable in many other ways, such as the new reality that can come from war, the new regulations, the new laws, the new restrictions, the new way of living, the great reset, all these words we've heard about. And war is very much a means to achieve that. And as we're on this brink of the new digital reality and the digital world we're living in, where you have to prove who you are. If you want to go sit down in a restaurant, you have to prove to who, I don't know. You just have to prove who you are if you want to do the basic things. Even if you want to go to the grocery markets and get some food to feed your family so that you can live, you've got to prove who you are. And as we're heading towards that reality, we're going to see all of these different agendas play out. I think the reason I'm making this video is because I don't know everything, and many of us don't know everything that is happening, and we have to make sure that we don't fall into the patterns and the ways of perceptions that they want us to have. And there's a reason why all these agendas are taking place, is because they're all portrayed in a fearful way. Again, the fundamental of all these agendas is information warfare. There are documents. It's a military tactic to weaponize information. And if you look at Michael Aquino, the head of the Church of Set and the Church of Satan, and you look at his military essays and documents about information warfare and how you can use disinformation to scare people, how you can use fear to scare people, etc., and control narratives, you'll understand what is happening now. And so our fundamental is we don't feed into that. We don't feed into the fear. We don't feed into the way they want us to think, right? We have minds of our own. We have our ability to critically think. We have our own sense of self and awareness and being. And so we've got to express that, and we've got to tune ourselves more into that. And the more you start going on Twitter and you look at all the breaking news and all of this fear programming, and be careful who you're listening to. A lot of it is just fear. And we know what fear does to you. It cripples the mind. It destroys the prefrontal cortex. It makes you more susceptible to societal engineering and to control. And that's not what you want. And ultimately, that's what we're being led towards. So my take on this all is, don't worry if you don't know everything. Don't worry if you don't know the details about who's winning and all this and taking sides and stuff. Just know that we live in this reality, and you have to live the fullest potential you can possibly live, regardless of what's happening in the external environment. And make sure if you're focusing on that during these interesting times, because that's ultimately the only thing we can do. It goes back to the basics of, we cannot control our external reality, just our internal. And so here's just a reminder to do that. Don't feed into the fear. Work on yourself. You have the choice and the ability to choose what you put your energy and attention towards, and make sure it's the right thing. Having said that, don't ignore what's going on. We are truth seekers at heart, and so we must understand what's going on. We must have the awareness of what's happening so that we can bring truth to other people, and so that we can stand our ground together, right? So that's ultimately it, is know what's right, know where to put your attention to, but also don't feed into the fear, and also have the basic awareness of what's going on. And that's just all I can say really in these times, right? So that's for anybody who's been asking me about my thoughts on all of this stuff. I might post some things in the future, I don't know, but that's where I stand right now. And yeah, I hope this video has at least been useful for some people. If not, please check out my other posts. Yeah, I hope you have a wonderful day, guys, and stay grounded, stay rooted, connect yourself with God, and these things are happening for a specific reason. Some of us know, some of us don't, and we just got to go through reality the best way we possibly can. So much love, everybody, and I'll see you in the next video.